Right, today we're going to start Unit 8, and one of the topics is ratios and proportions. So we're going to do just a couple definitions here, and then a couple of examples. So what is a ratio? Okay, it is a comparison of two quantities, and there are multiple ways in which you can write that. So you can write it as a fraction, like 4/7. You can write it using a colon, 4 to 7, or you can actually write it out and say 4 to 7. You do want your ratio to be simplified to reduce it, so don't forget to do that last step. Okay, number 1, the football team played 62 regular season games last year. If they won 34 games, what's the ratio of wins to losses? Okay, so they won 34 games, so that's their wins. And then you're comparing it to their losses. Well, they don't tell us how many losses they have, but they did play 62 games. So if we take 62 games, we subtract the 34 games that they won, then 28 games were their losses. Okay, now we can simplify this. We can take a 2 out of both of them. They both will reduce by 2. That's going to give you 17 to 14. Okay, so the wins to losses ratio is 17 to 14. Okay, if you wanted to write it the other way using a colon, that says the same thing, or you could literally write it out, 17 to 14, wins to losses. Okay, an extended ratio is when you are comparing 3 or more quantities. So a comparison of 3 or more quantities. So it's going to be written, you're not going to use a fraction because a fraction compares 2 things and you're trying to compare 3 things. So you would write it like 2 to 4 to 7. Okay, so that's how you would show what's called an extended ratio. Okay, here's an example. The ratio of the measures of 3 angles in a triangle is 3 to 7 to 10. Find the measure of the largest angle. Okay, so it's this pattern of 3 to 7 to 10. Okay, so if I multiply that by 2 and made it 6 to 14 to 20, okay, those 3 items are the same ratio. Okay, I just multiplied by 2. So if you would reduce down 6, 14, and 20, take a 2 out of all of them, it would take you back to that 3, 7, and 10. Okay, but for this example, we're trying to find an angle measure. Well, your triangle has 3 angles, and the ratio is this 3 to 7 to 10. So you would go 3x plus 7x plus 10x, and since you are adding the angles in a triangle, that's going to be equal to 180. Okay, put your like terms together. We got 20x equals 180. Divide by 20, divide by 20, and x is 9. Okay, so to find the largest angle, that's going to be the 10x is going to represent the largest angle. And so that is a 90-degree angle. So if you wanted to, we could sketch a triangle here. So there's that 90-degree angle. Okay, so this angle would have been the 3x, the 7x, and then the 10x. So of course we already found that that one is a right angle. But then if you go 7 times 9, that gives this one a 63-degree angle. And then 3 times 9 would make this one a 27-degree angle. So you've got 27, 63, and 90. You add those 3 up, and that gives you 180. All right, last concept for today, a proportion. It is an equation that states 2 ratios are equal. Okay, so you write a proportion A over B equals C over D. So two ratios where I'm going to use fractions. Those fractions are equal to each other. Okay, now when you are solving a proportion, you are going to cross multiply, and the result is A times D would be equal to B times C. So when you go to solve a proportion, that's what we're going to do, is cross multiply. Okay, so I'm going to do a little simpler example just to get us started. So if we had a ratio of 10 to x equals 35 to 3, let's just say, for example. Okay, so here we would cross multiply. So you would have 35 times x equals 10 times 3. So 35x equals 30 divided by 35. That reduces, and x equals 30 35ths. Now 30 over 35, they both have are multiples of 5, so I can reduce. If I take a 5 out, that'll be a 6 and a 7. Okay, so 6/7 is the value of x. All right, now this one, same thing. It's still a ratio. We're going to cross multiply, but the equation is just going to be a little more complicated. So we're going to do 15 times 2x minus 9 is going to be equal to 10 times x minus 9. We're going to distribute. So 30x minus 135 equals, distribute the 10 over here, 10x minus 90. Okay, so we need to get the x's on the same side. So I'm going to subtract 10x. Now, if you wanted to, you could move the 30x to the right. That would be fine. But I just decided to move the 10x. Okay, then I got my x's on the left side, so I'm going to move my 135 over here to the right side. So that cancels. So 20x equals 45. So divide by 20, divide by 20. That reduces, and you're going to get x equals, this also reduces by 5. So if I take a 5 out, I'm going to get 9/4. Okay, 9/4, or if you divided that, maybe got a decimal answer, that would be 2.25. So either one is fine. You can give that as a decimal answer or as a fraction. Okay, and there's your introduction to ratio and proportions. There is a homework for you to do. It is short, should just take you just a few minutes.